My name is Geoffrey Mann, I'm an artist, I'm the glass programme director at Edinburgh College of Art. I started working in glass in 2002, and at that point I was kind of using glass with digital media, and there was a lovely kind of synergy between both this idea of a material that's amorphous state, but also digital where I can catch intangible and ephemeral moments in time. I use the digital tools as a way to see things that are above and beyond our own reality. I can't see, I suppose I can't see or I can't touch motion or movement or sound waves. So this idea of using these tools to capture that moment in time allows me to create physical artifacts. Now if you bring that into using more of a archival material such as glass, then you've got this notion of how glass is this amorphous state. It is itself a moment in time. It is just caught in that one state, and both these materials, the notion of the digital and the glass objects coming together, create these objects that are otherworldly. This project came from an urban myth. This was something that I thought I heard maybe 2 years ago, and then I started doing some online research, and I found on Wikipedia that supposedly the wine bottle, the classic parallel-sided, high-shouldered wine bottle that we all know, was invented in Leith. So I started looking at designs and started interviewing residents of Leith, and what I was really fascinating doing is how I could embody intangible cultural heritage, this notion of the people who make up an area. How could this be part of an artifact, an object that has become this worldwide piece that anyone has access to. The journey of the process is one that goes from tangible to intangible, back to a tangible final object. So the first is an interview. I start working with a person and we have a really informal discussion. From these recordings, I then have to bring it into a digital environment. I have to dissect these discussions and finding the more direct and focused elements of the whole project. Then these objects go into animation software, where I start modelling using the original object. This piece is 3D scanned, so it's identical to the original. Then by decoding and changing the parameters of how the animation software thinks, I give it a human element. So instead of 0 to 10, I give it genders, or I give it intensity of speech. I start looking at these elements that computers don't always think about. From that point, I create an animation. This animation will be between 1 minute to 1.5 minutes long. Now, what's happening between that? You're almost creating 3,000 to 4,000 different singular objects, because these are single-framed animations. At this moment in time, I choose an artifact within the animation. Now, this is something that has to embody the discussion and showcase that moment and how the vocal has actually gone through the wine bottle and the object itself. Then I have to 3D print the piece. Now the 3D printing process works like a three-dimensional flick book. What happens is that it prints individual layers building this object until completion. To be able to make this into glass, I have to then make a silicone mould that then make wax duplicates. The wax duplicates allow me to then create lost wax casting and cast glass objects. At this point, once you make the wax object and you have the plaster mould surrounded, it's in the kiln. Once the piece is out, because what I'm interested in looking at is creating this object that has embedded fluidity. The integrity of the object looks like it's actually trying to move. It has potential energy built into the form itself. The piece itself is then highly polished to a perfect finish.